Hello. When I was running, I was motivated by the desire to become the best runner that I could be. Whatever level that took me to, I didn't know, but that was what drove me on year after year, to become the best I could be. I love it as a motivation because anybody can aspire to that, no matter what level you're competing at. You can become the fulfillment of your potential. But to do that, there's no escaping the fact that we need to do a lot of running. We need to run often. When we have a full-time job and family commitments and other commitments, it can be very difficult to find the time or make the time to fit all that running in. And in this talk I want to just relay some of the stories, the true stories of things that I did to fit running into a busy lifestyle. Back in the 1980s, early 1980s, I spent a while living in Boston in Massachusetts, where it's very hot and humid in the summer and very, very cold in the winter. I wasn't able to come home for Christmas this particular year, and friends I'd made over there very kindly invited me to spend Christmas with them, and they were returning from Boston back to their family home, which is in a small town in New Jersey. On Christmas Eve we drove for about 4 hours down to New Jersey, most of it in the dark. I didn't know where we were going. We reached their house, and the next day was Christmas Day, and on my schedule I wanted to run 15 miles. But I was in someone else's house on Christmas Day, so I talked about what their plans were and what their timings were for everything, and they were having their main meal in the afternoon, and so mid-morning was free, everyone else was just relaxing, so I got ready to go for my run in the middle of the morning. This particular Christmas Day, as was quite common in New Jersey in the dead of winter, it was minus 15 degrees centigrade outside. And so I had my full 3-layer cold weather running kit on, which consisted of full-length thermal top and leggings. On top of that was a fleece top and pants. And on top of that I wore a nylon windbreaker suit, thick woolen gloves, and a woolen beanie hat pulled right down to my eyebrows and over my ears, so there's only a little bit of my face showing. This was the late 1970s and early 80s, and at that time everybody, or all the men, had facial hair, either a beard or a moustache. I had a moustache at the time. And when you step outside into minus 15 degrees centigrade, as soon as I started running, the moisture in my breath that came out of my mouth and down my nose condensed in my moustache and froze. And after a mile or so, I had a large block of ice on my top lip. But anyway, I set off on my run. I wanted to run away from the town because I didn't want to run through the middle of town because there were too many roads to cross and likely to be more traffic. So I'd seen a road map of the area, and there was a road that just went away from town, and I got onto this road and I was running along it fine. I was warm enough with all that gear on. It was bright, sunny day, extremely cold, but it was sunny and dry. The roads had been cleared of snow, but I was running on dry tarmac. There was very little traffic because it was Christmas Day. And I needed to run 15 miles. And the way for me to do that was to run out and back on a course. Just run for 7.5 miles and turn around and come back. I'd been running for a while and I came to a T-junction and I had to choose which way to go. I chose left because it was more in keeping with the general direction I'd been going. I ran about 40 or 50 yards and stopped and turned around and looked at the junction, as I would see it when I came back a little while later so that I would recognise it, because it's a really bad idea to be in the closing stages of a 15-mile run and get lost when it's minus 15 degrees outside, and I didn't want that to happen. Of course, this was in the days before mobile phones, and a long time before anybody had GPS on their wristwatch. If you did a long out and back run, you simply had to remember how to get back home again. So anyway, I looked at the junction, then turned around and carried on. After a good while, I came into a small town and came across a main road. I had to stop because there was some traffic on it. I looked at my watch. I'd been running for about 43 minutes. Now, I typically ran at 10 miles an hour on these steady training runs, which is 6 minutes for each mile. So I reckoned, but we always start off slightly slow, so I reckoned I'd run 7 miles. I needed to run another half a mile. I decided I was going to just cross this road so that I just kept running in a straight line. Some of the traffic came past, and then one car pulled over right in front of me. Window came down. There was a man and a woman in the front and 2 children in the back. I guess the man had seen me and thought, oh, there's a jogger, he'll know his way around. And when the window came down, he leaned forward and said, hey bud, can you tell me the way to Lake Street? And I leaned forward and I kind of put my face in the frame of my ice covered face in the frame of his window, and I said to him, I'm sorry, but I don't have the faintest idea where I am. Never mind where you're going. And the guy didn't say a word. He just put his foot on the accelerator and tore away from there as if he had to escape from some kind of crazy guy who had escaped from an asylum. And as I crossed the road and carried on with my run, I realised just how true it was what I'd said to him. I had absolutely no idea where I was. Nobody else that I knew had any idea where I was. It was quite an interesting sensation. The only thing I knew was that I was staying in a house which was 7 miles back down the road behind me, and that was it. Well, I guess I knew I was in the state of New Jersey, but whereabouts, no idea. I continued with my run. I ran that extra little bit. I turned round. I headed back the way I'd come. I came to that T-junction, recognised it because I'd visually memorised it about 40 minutes earlier. I got back to the house, checked my watch. I'd been running for an hour and 31 minutes, which I thought was perfect for 15 miles. I'd achieved my run. I had plenty of time before the Christmas dinner. My friend's mother was very much in mother mode with her family home and produced a marvellous home-cooked Christmas dinner. She was very impressed with her guest, who was able to eat very large amounts of her home-cooked food, having done 15 miles a little previously. And we enjoyed the rest of Christmas Day. So, if your excuse is, well, I couldn't go running because it was Christmas Day, no, that's not a valid excuse. You can fit it in. If you're thinking, well, I couldn't go running because it was minus 15 degrees outside, no, you just have to wear the right clothing and the right number of layers. And if you think, well, I couldn't go running because I was in a strange place and I didn't know where to go, no, it's not a valid excuse. You just have to run out and back. You're running basically as close to a straight line as you can get for the right amount of time. Come round, turn around, come back and retrace your steps. There's no good excuse for not going for a run. If you liked that video, you may enjoy this one. Or you could subscribe to the channel and never miss any of them. I hope to speak to you soon, and in the meantime, I wish you good health.